the inaugural episode of Empowered Minds, Fueling Education, a place where you get to meet us and we get to meet you. Let's do it.
Hello, I'm Dr. Deborah Powell, and welcome to Empowered Minds, Fueling Education. It's our podcast where we're going to be peeling back some of the layers of our new leader of Normandy Schools Collaborative School District. On February 27th, the school board saw fit to select a new superintendent, a new captain to steer the ship in Viking Nation, in none other than Dr. Michael Triplett. Dr. Triplett has a wealth of experience. He has a new flavor that he brings to the school district. And there are some interesting things that you might want to know about Dr. Triplett. But before we hear from him, let's hear what someone else had to say about the dynamic leader, Dr. Michael Triplett.
I've been knowing Dr. Triplett for this is my 8th year. Being a safety officer, one of my most teachable moments for me was when he showed me that he was human outside of being a supervisor. While my son was on life support, he came to the hospital and he sat with me and he talked to me and he made me laugh in the midst of all of the stuff that was going on. I would love for whoever gets an opportunity to see this to sit down and just talk to him. He's an alpha male, but he can also be the sweetest, most humblest person you would ever want to meet. He's caring, he's fun, because he's helped so many teachers and administrators deal with everything pertaining to our children. Because he is sincerely, genuinely caring about them. And I love that.
Dr. Triplett has shared his bio with me, so I've gotten some insights on him. And some of the things that I've learned about him just from reading the bio, I had no idea. So he is humble in his accomplishments. I mean, you won't know unless you go and seek it out, Google his name and, go prying a little bit. So after reading it, I was like, wow, he never even mentioned that. And oh, wow, I didn't know that he and I didn't know that he, had this many degrees. So, he's been humble in his accomplishments. Yeah, he doesn't boast or brag about them. You have to almost kind of pull it out of him.
Dr. Triplett, she had some interesting things to say. You really don't talk about yourself and your experiences. Why is that?
I guess because I don't really think about it. What comes natural and organic comes natural and organic. I don't think experiences make the person. I think a person's character is just who they are. Charisma is just who they are. I don't believe in allowing experience and education to define what my personality needs to be or who my person is. And so me bragging on those kinds or talking about those kinds of things just doesn't do it for me.
It's interesting you selected Normandy Schools Collaborative. What are some of the things that you often heard about Normandy Schools Collaborative from the community, from the media, from the surrounding areas?
Wow. So I've heard a lot of different things about Normandy. I've heard a lot of negative things about the Normandy community. And they all have to do with violence and low poverty and those kinds of things. And so when I talk to a lot of people, it's always conversations about what Normandy needs in terms of resources. And they were not all good. And so when I think about those kinds of things, I think about how I grew up and where I come from. And so that allowed me to say, hey, this is a place that maybe needs a person like me.
You know, it's interesting that you mentioned where you grew up. You hail from East St. Louis. So we took our crew over to East St. Louis to see about some of the places where you grew up and some of the schools that you attended. Let's take a look at some of those things. Who is Dr. Michael Triplett? He hails from East St. Louis. We call it East St. Louis. We talk about the struggles that he has had as a child growing up in East St. Louis, but it's really Normandy. There's no difference between East St. Louis and Normandy Schools Collaborative area except the name. Dr. Triplett has wonderful, wonderful plans on how to relate what he has experienced and turn it into what's good for Normandy Schools Collaborative. It's one thing to grow up with a silver spoon and then come into an area that has its struggles, but it's another thing to have walked the walk, talked the talk, lived the life. He knows what it's going to take to move Normandy Schools Collaborative forward because he's been there, he has done that, and he is here, our Dr. Michael Triplett, to do exactly what was done for him. The work could not have been done for him if it were not for the people and the community of East St. Louis. And that's the same concept that he has when it comes to Normandy Schools Collaborative and the 24. East St. Louis. Can any good thing come out of East St. Louis? You're here, Dr. Triplett. Talk to us about your experiences in East St. Louis that really helped shape the direction in which you want to take Normandy in.
It was tough growing up in East St. Louis. We were extremely poor, but we didn't know that we were poor. There was, our family was riddled with love. And so many of the things that we didn't have, we didn't know we were supposed to have them. We just knew that some of our friends had things and were fortunate and that we weren't as fortunate, but we were okay with it. So growing up in East St. Louis really meant a lot. It provided me with tough love. Growing up in neighborhoods like 14th and Exchange and Audubon and Walter Street and Central City Homes provided me with ways to really navigate tough terrain, if you will. And growing up around a lot of people who were actually tough people, where we lived on the Exchange was dead center and smack dab in the middle of gang riddled neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
Prostitution, drug wars. I mean, you name it. Exchange, where I lived on Exchange, we were dead smack in the middle of it. And so we had to cross those terrains to go to either the junior high school I went to or even the high school where I went to. And so doing those kinds of things and violence and fighting and shootings and all of those things just kind of prepared me for what our kids go through in their neighborhoods every day. And additionally, when you talk about having to choose between heat and light in your home and then going to school with not enough nurturance and or even going to school to get light and heat after leaving your house when you didn't have both, I understand what our kids are going through. And so experiencing those kinds of things and hunger and those kinds of things that our children are experiencing now, I understand. And so when we talk about what has readied me for these to lead Normandy,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of my conversations I have is with maintenance people and with cafeteria folk, because those were the folk who were instrumental in my life in terms of providing me with necessary resources for me to survive at school and give me other things, other resources to take home and survive at home.
So there's really not much difference between Normandy and East St. Louis, is it?
When you really look at it, I think, in my opinion, Normandy, it's nicer, it's cleaner. It doesn't have, it has the concepts, and not in a good way, the concept of what I grew up, the way I grew up in East St. Louis, but it doesn't have the down home gritty dynamics. The difference is, after coming to Normandy, the difference is Normandy is really like East St. Louis in a sense that it's really, really family oriented. Mm-hmm. People believe in Normandy, just like we do in East St. Louis. They have faith in Normandy, and they want the best for Normandy. And so, just like we wanted the best for East St. Louis. And so they need the best. In order to get the best, you have to go out and find the best. I'm not saying I'm the best, but in this situation and what Normandy Schools Collaborative needs, it needs a person like me who understands children and who knows how to support people.
Now, perception is one thing, because we know people oftentimes talk so negatively about East St. Louis. They talk so negatively about Normandy. But now that you've been here for just a little over a year, tell us about some of the bright spots, some star things that you've seen since you've been in Normandy.
Oh, man. Children are amazing, right? And mm-hmm. they love doing what works for adults, right? And so I love entering schools and kids knowing who I am and walking up to me and having genuine conversations. I love walking into teachers' classrooms and I get big smiles and they wave and they start introducing who the superintendent is. And I often have to tell them, no, keep working, don't mind me. But I love going to venues like the 24-1 Municipal Partnership meeting they have once a month, mm-hmm. and just sharing conversations about what Normandy is doing. The support I get from the 24-1 collaboration is absolutely phenomenal. They want what's best for children. They want what's best for their community, and they have that in me, and I think they see that in me. And so when we have conversations, it's not always about what are you doing for Normandy. It's about how are you? How can we help you? And so those are the genuine conversations we have, and me seeing those kinds of people just kind of reminds me of what home is like.
Now, when they see you coming, you're a tall man, you have such strong stage presence. How do you think they receive you when they first encounter you? But before you answer, we're going to hear what some of them had to say. We had the chance to talk with some people that worked with you, and we wanted them to know what their first impressions of you was. And so let's listen to some of those.
Oh, my first impression of Dr. Triplett, a character, but brilliant, brilliant. He brings a lot of intuitiveness into his position. He wants his faculty to be on top of things, to be better than what we come in with and better when we leave. Dr. Triplett has aspirations for all of his staff, as well as greater expectations and demands. He feels that if you are the expert in your subject area or your content area, you should be able to show it and prove it.
Very impactful. When you look back over those times, does it make you reflect on something that you want to bring to Normandy? What kind of culture and collaboration do you really want to have for Normandy? Because they had some wonderful things to say about you. What do you want the people of Normandy to really know about the culture that you're setting here?
I want everything to be organic and genuine. Nobody has to reach for how they feel or who they need to shine around. I want everything to be organic. And it's okay to make mistakes. Just learn from your mistakes. And so we want to create a culture and climate that people understand that I can make a mistake and still it can still be okay, right? And I can grow from it. And we can laugh all day and have fun, because I have a superintendent who often reminds me the work is hard already, but don't forget to smile in the midst of all of the hard work. My job is early in the morning, if I could put a smile on your face and you can go through your day and all the turmoil and hardship through your whole day, you can still smile at the end because you know your superintendent put a smile on your face at the beginning of the day. So when you're talking to those kids, your job is, yes, it's already tough, but see what kind of smile can you bring up on their face, because they look for light at the end of the tunnel just like we do. It's not always about the work. It's about enjoying what you do in the work. And so when you're enjoying what you do in the work, that makes you put more into the work. And so that's the kind of culture and climate we are trying to establish here at the Normandy Schools Collaborative. Next time on Empowered Minds, Fueling Education. And so we have to do this work together. And it's not a Dr. Triplett. It's not a Normandy Schools Collaborative. It's an us. And we have to figure this out. So them understanding and knowing that they have a leader in place that absolutely, truly enforces the fact that their voices have to be in the room that when we make decisions. They have to understand that I truly, genuinely believe that. I don't just say, come and help me. I mean, come and help me. My vision of academic excellence requires students to demonstrate their ability to perform, achieve, and excel in all scholastic activities. It also requires the district to maximize the development of intellectual capabilities that our students can serve others with specific developed skills. The district has to provide students with amazing learning experiences so that our students can be successful. The district must provide students with amazing academic experiences such that our students can be successful.